day everyone, we are the Group 1 and today we're going to discuss the introduction of the study Globalization by Manfred Stiger. So before we start our video, this is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardines, to use this as an educational material. So first of all, what is globalization according to Manfred Stiger? So globalization according to Manfred Stiger encompasses various dimensions such as economic, politics, and culture. Political globalization refers to the intensification and expansion of political interrelation across the globe. These processes raise important set of political issues pertaining to the principal state sovereignty, the growing impact of intergovernmental organization, and the future of prospect for regional and global governance, and the environmental policies affecting our planet. Obviously, this theme responds to the evolution of political arrangement beyond the framework of the nation-state, thus breaking new conceptual and institution ground. After all, for these last few centuries, humans have organized their political difference along territorial lines and generate a scene of belonging to the particular nation-state. Out of these disagreements, there have emerged the three fundamental questions that proves the extent of the political globalization. First, it is really true that the power of the nation-state has been curtailed by the massive flows of the capital, people, and technology across the territorial boundaries. Second, are these primary causes of these flows to be found in politics or economics? Third, are we witnessing the emergence of the new global governance structure? So before we respond to this question in more details, let us briefly consider the main features of the modern nation-state system.
Globalization has ended remained a rather unwidely emphatic in the academic world is was successfully disconnected in the public discourse during the late 1980s and 1990s. With the collapse of Soviet-style communism of Eastern Europe vastly effectively of our if applied considerate the global north spotted of their ongoing effect to sell their vision of globalization to the public.
Emotional and cultural connection. Friedman's sentimental ideology emphasizes the emotion and cultural aspect of globalization. It recognizes that globalization is not just an economic or political phenomenon, but also profoundly affect people's identities, relationships, and cultural expressions. Human relationships. This perspective highlights the importance of human connection in a globalized world. Friedman suggests that sentimental aspect of globalization can foster empathy and solidarity among individuals and communities across borders. Critique of market-driven globalization. Friedman's sentimental ideology critiques that the dominant market-driven narrative of globalization. He argues that this narrative often overlooks the emotion and cultural dimensions, leading to alienation and disconnection among people.
Cultural exchange. Friedman advocates for a view of globalization that emphasizes positive cultural exchanges. He believes that through shared experiences and interactions, people can build understanding and foster a sense of global community. So number 5 is the resistance to homogenization. This ideology also addresses the concerns regarding cultural homogenization, asserting that while globalization may lead to the spread of dominant cultural products, it can also create spaces for diverse voices and localized identities to thrive. Vision of global citizenship. Friedman's sentimental ideology promotes a vision of global citizenship grounded in emotional and cultural understanding, encouraging individuals to see themselves as part of larger global community, with responsibilities towards.
Arjun Appadurai's contributions are the following. Number 1. Global cultural flows. Appadurai introduced the concept of scapes to describe the complex, irregular, and variable flows of culture, technology, people, money, and ideas across the globe. He identified 5 key dimensions of global cultural flows. The ethnoscapes. It is the movement of people across the globe including migrants, tourists, refugees, and expatriates. Technoscapes. It is the global configuration of technology and the movement of high-tech information and machinery. Financescapes. It is the flow of capital and global financial transactions. Mediascapes. The distribution of electronic capabilities to produce and disseminate information. For example, through media, film, and television. Educapes. It is the flow of ideas, ideologies, and images that are politically charged and related to state and social movements. Number 2. Disjuncture and difference. Appadurai emphasizes that these cultural flows are not uniform or harmonious. They often exist in disjunction and can lead to uneven and unpredictable outcomes, challenging simplistic views of globalization as a homogenizing force.
Territorialization. He argues that globalization has led to the territorialization of culture, where cultural practices and identities are no longer bound to a specific geographic location. This creates new forms and cultural hybridity and identity. The production of locality. Appadurai also explores how people sustain a sense of locality in a world characterized by global flows and movement. He argues that the local is a constantly produced and reproduced context rather than a static entity. Globalization from below. His work often focuses on how marginalized groups and local communities navigate and negotiate the forces of globalization, challenging dominant narratives of global homogenization.
Anjun Aparadai, an anthropologist that introduced the concept of scapes to describe the complex and fluid landscape of globalization. Based on his concept, there are 5 types of scapes. The first one is ethnoscapes. So, what is ethnoscapes? The movement of people across borders, including tourists, immigrants, refugees, exiles, and guest workers. So, the ethnoscape shape cultural introductions and the way people perceive identities and belonging. The second one is technoscape. So, what is technoscape? So, the global spread of technology and ways in which technology innovation circulate across borders. So, technologies enable new forms of communication, production, and consumption, altering how people live, work, and impact.
4. Mediascapes. The distribution and influence of media and information shaping perceptions and ideologies. 5. Ideascapes. The flow of political ideas, ideologies, and values that influence global politics and social movements.